Well, hello to everybody, and welcome to the September Recruiting Insider phone call. And let me get the screen up. And Matt, if you're not seeing the right screen, please let me know. But you ought to be seeing the opening screen of the Recruiting Insider phone call. And this is part two of the topic addressing the leading cause for driver turnover. Folks, our number of registrations continue to grow. We are been averaging a little over 2,000 people on the call, and I just do not take that lightly at all. So and thank you for that. And so by the way, so anybody that's registered gets a copy of the link to the webinar, but we are also posting those on our website, so so you can go there and see those as well. And so, just FYI, we're having over 2,000 people on the call. There's 636 companies registered, individual companies registered. So that's just a couple of numbers. I don't want to misrepresent anything there, but I do certainly am honored that people take time out of their day for today's call. So as always, we're going to work to keep this on track and on time. And first thing I'm going to do is hit a button, make sure things work. I have asked a special guest to join us today, and that's Chris O'Gara. He's the president of INTEGRITAS Insurance Group. And I've asked him to join us because Chris and I were visiting. I've known Chris for, over 10 years. And we were visiting about owner-operator benefits. And that's one of the things that I hear from clients often, is that they struggle to provide a good, solid benefit package to owner-operators. And so we're coming up on open enrollment. Owner-operators have to have insurance, so they're going to have a problem with Obamacare. And so I said, Chris, can we take 5 minutes and run down through this at real high level and explain kind of what this program does, how to benefit a fleet, and then folks will make sure that you have Chris's contact information if you would like to have some more in-depth information about how you can provide this for your company. With that, Chris, are you live and with me?
I am. Can you hear me?
Loud and clear. So I'm going to go ahead and take you to the first slide, Chris. We pulled Chris out of a meeting that he's at, and this first slide, I think you know what it says: Enrollment Force Inc. and 1, 2, 3.
Yep. Excellent. So yeah, it's a little high level and going through this in respect for everybody's time here, but at the end of the day, to have a program as it relates to health insurance for independent contractors definitely plays a role in the driver capacity realm. So from a recruiting retention perspective, it's been my experience that over the years, definitely having a robust, almost cafeteria-like plan that you can offer your independent contractors has definitely had an impact and continues to have an impact with a lot of the motor carriers that we work with throughout the country. So as you're aware, you know, we've got this tax, and if a driver does not have health insurance, then they are going to be required to pay a tax. And right now, based on the average, you know, they say the average driver earns approximately $45,000 a year. And if that particular driver in 2016 does not have any health insurance in place, he's looking at a tax penalty of close to $1,100. And so what we've come up with is, first of all, we have a program where these drivers can, in fact, buy health insurance. And it's an Affordable Care Act program that is available to independent contractors. But the reality is, and many of you have probably experienced the same thing, that many of these drivers just simply can't afford it, and they just don't buy it. So they'd rather pay the tax. So understandably. And coming up here, November 1st through January 31st, is the next open enrollment. And I'm going to suspect that the same dismal interest will continue to, again, this November. And then in light of November 8th, who knows what's going to happen after that. So that's kind of a real high level, but one of the things that we've developed to kind of circumvent the issues with the Affordable Care Act law with that mandate is we have a plan that's called this minimum essentials coverage. So what is it? It's basically it's a plan that it's approved by the Affordable Care Act, and it is a very it's certainly not as robust as a major medical plan, but it qualifies as an Affordable Care Act approved plan, but at a much lower cost. At a cost of $64 a month, a driver can sign up, get this minimum essentials coverage, and at the end of the day avoid the tax, but actually still have something in his possession that, you know, the minimum would be like, you know, health screening, counseling, vaccinations, etc. And so it's been very popular, needless to say, especially from a cost perspective. So with this plan, they can call in, they can go online, they can call in. There's a variety of ways that they can sign up for it, but in addition to this MEC plan, they can also sign up with dental, life, health, you name it. There's actually a 401k as well. So the bad news is the Affordable Care Act is it's around, and we're not sure how soon or how much longer it will be around, but there are solutions for your independent contractors from an affordable perspective where these drivers can get it. And this is a plan that's guaranteed issue. It is all year long. It's not just an open enrollment like the major medical health plan. It can be settlement deducted. So again, back to why would we even talk about this? Well, it does have an impact on recruiting and retention. And this is just one more tool. So at that, I don't know if anybody has any questions, but
actually, Chris, there was a question. Chris, one of the attendees said, does that change the owner-operator status to company employee as it relates to independent contractor status?
Great question, and no, it does not, because even though you would be promoting, per se, through INTEGRITAS, this product, it's not your product. You're not contributing towards a premium. So this is their product. They actually become members of this association, this NAWP, when they sign up. And so it's very separate from the motor carrier. And there's a few white pages out there, Scopolitas and such have made commentary on this, but because it's a separate plan, it would not impact that employer-employee relationship.
Can the owner-operator get coverage for his or her drivers also?
They could, yes. And if they're paying them $10.99, which oftentimes they are, then yes, they would be entitled to sign up for the plan as well.
Excellent. Folks, I'm showing Chris's contact information. As the webinar continues, if you have additional questions, please submit them as you already are. And Chris, are you going to be able to stay on for the next 22 minutes with us?
I will probably be on for the next 10 or so, and then I have to get off, unfortunately. But that's okay. My contact info is there. If there is questions, let me know.
You bet. We will do that. We'll forward them to you, Chris, if we don't get a chance to answer them here on the call. I thank you so much for your time. I knew that you pulled out of a very important meeting to do this for us, and I appreciate you doing that, and thank you so much for your support in everything that we do. But folks, there's his contact information. I've known Chris for years, and he specializes in owner-operator insurance and issues. So please, that's the number to have. With that being said, we're going to shift. Go ahead, Chris.
I was just going to say thank you, Kelly, and thank you for all that you do as well. You are a great man in the industry.
Thank you, sir. And with that being said, and another character in the industry, getting that. I say character because, folks, if you have not signed in to recruitingsessions.com yet, please, I highly recommend making a note of that one. Matt has how many videos do you have out there now on recruiting sessions?
There's, I believe, 10. We actually just did a couple more, so they're going to be released here pretty quick. And going to go back in the studio. I think we have 5 additional videos to shoot over the next couple of weeks.
Excellent. You know, when you guys, you'll understand what I mean when you go out and watch those recruiting sessions, the videos that Matt's done, and but you literally you sit on the edge of your seat wondering what are they going to do next. They're both educational and also entertaining. But with that being said, because these 30 minutes go really fast, Matt, thank you so much for joining me again this month to provide the Ramsey Minute to us. And I'm going to go ahead and roll in your slides.
Sounds great, Kelly. Thank you so much. Today I want to talk about a couple of ways to get more eyes on your jobs. And so the first way to do that is you have to stand out to be seen. You have to present a distinct brand. Say something fresh. Say how, not just what. And so you'll hear us ask this question a lot. What makes you stand out from other carriers? And you've got to identify those distinct characteristics and communicate them distinctively too. Now, when I'm working with carriers, they often say, drivers are our #1 asset, or we treat drivers like family, or you're not just a number here. Now, these are good things, but they've been said so often that they've become cliches and almost lost all effectiveness. And so you have to come up with a fresh way to say that message about who you are and what you offer. And so if for example, your company truly does value drivers as your #1 asset, say it a bit differently. I mean, you might say, because drivers are our #1 asset, we invest in them before anything else. As we grow, they're always the first to get better pay and better equipment. Or when our company succeeds, drivers are the first to reap the benefits. Now, of course, you have to make sure that whatever you say is true, but you also need to say the true things in distinctive ways. And so you also have to offer clear incentives. Do the math for them. We always recommend that you actually spell out what that pay is. Some ads and job descriptions fail to provide any pay or incentive information, so don't make that mistake. But beyond that, try not to settle for just listing a cost per mile amount or sign-on bonus. I mean, anyone can do that. Instead, convey what's competitive about your particular combination of pay and benefits, and give an idea of your total compensation. So for example, you may pay less than the average cost per mile, but give drivers the opportunity to earn more through a performance incentive. Now make sure that they know about that. Make sure and do that math for them is what I'm saying. So you may not be the highest cost per mile pay out there, but if you're wrapping incentives behind that, make sure that you include that in that total amount. Or if you pay significant percentage of health benefits, communicate that as well, because that is extra money in every one of their checks. And so the next thing that you have to do is you have to see it through the driver's eyes. And what I mean by that is you have to look at it from their perspective. So you ask not what your drivers can do for you, but what you can do for your drivers. And don't just think about what you want or require in a driver. Put yourself in their place and ask what they want or require of you. And what are the best advantages you offer? Is it the pay, home time, or route? And what are the frustrations that drivers face that your company can help relieve? And what's a day in the life look like for one of your drivers? What can they expect to be doing when they come to work for you? Those kind of things, when you're putting together that message, help inspire that driver to make that call, whether it's through a lead form, a phone call, or actually go on and fill out the full application. and empower your drivers too to help you tell that message. You can do that through video testimonials, which are very, very powerful, but have your drivers help tell the story as to why they chose to come to work for you and why they continue to stay. You'll be amazed at the type of message that you'll receive and the buy-in. And I know we're talking about retention today, and I will tell you that when you go and you ask your drivers to help, it's a huge retention tool. It just makes them feel like they are part of the team. And with that, I always appreciate this opportunity to be part of this call, and I thank you so much. I'm looking forward to our conversation next month, and I will turn it back to you, Kelly.
You bet. And, you know, Matt, talking about your previous slide, when you talk about do the math, many times fleets like to put in their ad, you know, our drivers make, you know, $65,000 a year. Drivers know how much they made last week, and people may not realize what they made last year. I find that to be a very powerful number. Instead of saying, you know, our drivers average this per year, say this is what our drivers average per week. Because then they're looking at what they got on the last settlement or paycheck, and they're looking at what you're saying, and it's worth making a phone call to figure out, hey, how did you get there? So that makes it real, right where they live. And until then, that was Matt. Watch recruiting sessions, you'll know why I'm saying that. And I'll also say several folks have reached out to Ramsey to help them with their advertising as a result of this, and I don't take that lightly. And we certainly, I'm hearing great results as always from the work that Ramsey's doing for our clients. So thank you, Matt, for all your efforts for our clients. And so this is, as I say, we're continuing on with the topic of how to show specific and genuine appreciation and how to address appreciation and respect. In the last call we talked about appreciation. This call we're going to get into respect, and I'm going to go into these three areas here and how we can show respect in these areas that you see already on the screen. You rate faster than I can talk, so I'm going to hit the next button and go to the next slide. So the first is the facilities and equipment we have people to use. Folks, one of the things that I do, matter of fact, I'll be in a company here in a couple of weeks undercover as a driver, going through orientation, and I do that several times a year. Seems like the request for that is actually increasing. That I do it even more. I just finished one project, and now we're starting another, and it's amazing in the orientation classrooms that we go in. You know, this is our chance for our first impression. And many orientation classrooms, their second function is our storeroom. Their third is that's where all the old office chairs go that don't quite work anymore, and the tables are, you know, just folding tables with rough edges. And so, you know, this whole opportunity, oh man, we appreciate you, we respect you, but we're putting them into a room that we would not have one of our customers come to and sit down for us to do a sales presentation. I've mentioned that several times, and fleets have gone back and remodeled their orientation classrooms, and what a difference it makes in the comfort for the people sitting in the class for several days, and also their attentiveness and their perception of the company. I was at, and this was years ago, but I went through undercover trucker, and I'll mention the company. It was Smith Transport out of Pennsylvania. And as I'm in the class, the drivers in the class were making comments about how nice the orientation classroom was, and then they went on to talk about even how clean the restrooms were. And so it is noticed. They noticed how clean the entire facility was, and right down to the restroom, and they made those comments, not me. Guys, I've been, you know, even the trucks and the trailers, I have two things I'm going to comment on this. One is don't do your road test in a truck that hasn't been detailed yet. You know, we're riding in this truck, and it's our first chance to see what your equipment's like, and we're afraid to touch anything because it might be a biohazard. And it's gross, you know, because we're typically, you know, sitting in the sleeper waiting for the next guy to drive, or, you know, if I'm just driving the thing and this truck is filthy. that is not a good representation of our company. But then from the second standpoint, I can tell you when I was a driver at CFI, I carpeted. I got my new truck assigned to me, and I carpeted the front area with a nice charcoal gray carpet. And then I set the truck out. I did, I got the stuff. I was about ready to go home for time off, but I stuck around and I got that installed into my truck and then left. And of course, maintenance was going to work on my truck while I was gone. And when I came back, my brand new carpet had greasy footprints all over the driver's side of the cab. And so when I went to the shop and I said, man, it was brand new. I just put it in right before I went home to time off. Well, you ought not carpet your truck. You don't want greasy footprints in there. So they didn't care about their truck as much as I cared about the truck. And to this day, I should have went and talked to Glenn Brown, because I guarantee if I'd have told Glenn, he'd have had one of his mechanics recarpeting my truck for me. But, that's giving. Let's give the drivers back their truck better than we got it. Another thing that I would tell you is I would not drive a truck with damage on it. Many fleets, they don't do vehicle inspections when they assign the trucks. They don't do vehicle inspections when they get the trucks back. They don't look at them as the truck's going through the shop and saying, hey, is there any damage on this truck that we don't know about? And folks, I can tell you, as a professional driver, I would not drive a truck with a bent cab extender on there. Why? Because anybody that drives by that truck will think I bent that cab extender or bent that bumper. And you know what? I don't want people thinking that, because I didn't do it. I wouldn't do it. And there it is. So let's keep our trucks and trailers in good condition and give it back to the driver better than they got it. And one piece to that is when they put their truck into the shop to get it worked on, do you maybe take a few moments and have somebody to run a vacuum cleaner across it and wash the windows, maybe spray a little air freshener in there. But then also put a piece of paper on the seat that explains the things that you fixed and the things that you didn't fix, and that, hey, these are going to be fixed next time you come in. That just shows a lot of respect and appreciation for the driver in his office. How do we treat people when they're in the office? Man, I tell you, I had just started in safety at CFI, so this story is north of almost 30 years ago. I guess I did the math; it might be over 30. And here's what's amazing: one of the mornings I came in and I noticed this driver standing by a desk, and the lady was sitting at her desk talking to another lady, and this driver was just standing there. So I walked out. Hey, can I help you? Yeah, I need to talk to her about this. And I said, oh, and I said, hey, Terry, can you help him? She says, it's not 8 o'clock yet. I couldn't believe it. Going to stand there, not even acknowledge this person standing at your desk, and because it's not 8 o'clock yet. By the way, before close of business that day, there was a policy. If you're at your desk, you're working. If you don't want to work, you'll be at your desk. But be at your desk ready to work by 8 o'clock. And, how do we treat people? I was in an orientation another fleet, and it was interesting that we in orientation would walk out this one door and take our breaks, and office people would walk out this other door and take their breaks, and there was this 50-yard grassy area between the two areas. And it was funny, they'd stand there looking at us and we'd stand there looking at them. So we were kept as an outsider. I would highly recommend that we train people, the office people, and say, be the first to show yourself friendly. And because the driver doesn't know people. And you ever notice how you look? Every one of us, we have an elevator face. And that's that face we put on when we're on the elevator. And by the way, you're ugly. And so am I. It's that look of, man, don't talk to me, don't touch me, and I'm protecting myself. Mean look. And you ever notice how many times people have that look until you say hello to them, and then they're, oh, hey, how you doing? We need to do that in our office. Our drivers walk through our office with their elevator face on. Let's make it our business to take their elevator faces off by being the first to show ourselves friendly. Also, folks, when you respect somebody, you do not try to multitask. And multitasking is one of those things that has become a big lie. We believe that women can do it better than men. Then we believe that younger folks can do it better than older folks. And the truth is, it is humanly impossible. It doesn't matter how old you are or what sex you are. It is humanly and neurologically impossible to multitask. Matter of fact, when somebody tells you I can do two things at once, what they're telling you is that whatever you give them to do, they're going to take longer to do it and screw it up while they do it. Sorry, I put that word in there for a PG-13 rating. That way people come to the show. You just Google it. It is neurologically impossible. And when I do management training, I do an exercise to prove that to people, and every time it takes people longer to do the same task we just got through doing, and they make mistakes while they do it. The most powerful thing we can give to another person is our undivided attention. So if you can't give them your attention right then, say, hey, just have a seat. You give me a minute to finish this, and then I'll give you my undivided attention. People are glad to do that. But so don't multitask to them, and don't talk down or be condescending to them. You know, I'm short on time, but I could tell story after story on this. You know, one time I was in orientation, and this payroll person came in, and she was a very nice person right up until the time she started doing her presentation. And instead of telling us how we could get paid correctly and how she, you know, wants to help us to get paid, so and all that, she started telling us about how we're not going to get paid. You know, here's a stack of paper, and these people did not fill out all their trip envelope correctly. And folks, I'm going to get paid regardless. And these people, if I get around to it, will get paid on these trips this time or maybe next time. But because it's not filled out correctly, you're not going to get paid correctly, and you're not going to get paid at all. And you know, just condescending and talking down to the people. You know, we can drive the point home that, hey, doing this correctly is important, so that I can get you paid. That's real important to me, that you're paid accurately and correctly every time. So, you know, anyway, I mean, I'd love to tell more stories about that, but my experiences in orientations where people talk down to the class and or are condescending to them. Work anniversary, you know, recognition. Work anniversaries, safety awards, and service awards. I found a lot of fleets during the recession got away from recognizing the years of safe driving and or fuel mileage. We had a situation where we'd give out patches and stickers for the truck, and it was 6.5 miles per gallon and above for 3, 6, 12, 24 months. 7.0, 7.5, 8.0, and I tell you what, the guys, if the camera's on, you'd see I was tapping my shoulder every time I did that, because drivers would mount those or sew those onto their jacket all the way down their sleeve, and they had them on the leading edge of the sleeper. They had stars on their hood for years of service. We printed and put their handle and/or name underneath the edge of the door, and I tell you, they just loved that recognition and took a lot of pride in it. And so, how do you're talking about motivating people to do something that's good for us? It was phenomenal, because they're trying to get that next sticker and keep their fuel bonus high, and fuel awards high as well. Birthdays and anniversaries. Man, not only sending them to the driver, but how about to the driver's spouse and kids, and of course anniversaries. I've got so many testimonials from drivers saying, and drivers' families saying, you know what, they took time to send out this birthday card. And here's what's really cool: when you send out the birthday card to the family, and then the family comes to pick up the driver when they bring their truck in, the kids want to come in and give the dispatcher who sent that card a hug, and they always bring cookies too. You know what? I am good with hugs, and I'm really good with cookies as well. What's in it for us? You ever notice that when you make somebody else's day, it makes you happier? And when people are committed, because people get committed to people, not to companies. And when you've made their day and you've made them feel important and you've appreciated them and you've respected them, they want to do more for you. If you were to look at your driver fleet today, you have got drivers that will walk through fire for you, and you have drivers that set you on fire every day. And so how do we get those that are setting us on fire to be somebody that will walk through fire and start replicating that? And so what I've talked about in the last two webinars will get you there. Because when we look at it, people are committed to people. How do people get committed to people? Well, we show respect. We show appreciation. We make them part of our plan. And so, people will want to do more for you. They'll want to go the extra mile. And most of all, people quit people, not companies. And so people won't want to quit working with you. And with that, we end up with lower turnover and higher profit and better productivity and customer service as well. So folks, we are right on time with this. Next month's call is at October 12th, and you notice that every one of them so far, and I try every time going forward to always have the calls at 10 a.m. Central Time. I feel like that works for both all the time zones. I will tell you, I had a flyer up before the webinar talking about the Recruiting Department Management and Leadership class. That course is happening in conjunction with the ATA Loss Prevention Management Convention in Oklahoma City, October 24th through the 26th. If you're interested in that course, the registration for that is actually happening through Impact. We handle the HR side of that convention. ATA handles the safety side, and we're just helping to get that whole convention to be more safety and human resource related. So if you want information on that, please let me know as well. And FYI, the last course that Matt and I are doing, the Master Recruiting Techniques course this year, is happening the week. I actually pulled up the website on that. Is happening the week of November 7th, and it's going to be in Albany, New York, so we're planning on doing it. But the week of November 7th to the 11th, we'll be doing our Master Recruiting Techniques course, our Retention Techniques course, and Management Techniques course. So if you have any questions on that, please feel free to give us a call as well. With that, thank you so much for being on the call today. And we'll get these links sent out to you post-haste so that you can share it with other folks in your office if you'd like. Thank you.